Hello everyone and welcome to your March edition of Skul Bilong You. Now in this episode, we bring you new developments for the Education Ministry, such as the new Minister for Education, Nick Kuman. Also presented for you are introductions from the leaders within the Departments of Education and announcements from the Secretary of Education, Dr. Michael Tapo. But first, the new Minister for Education, Nick Kuman. Despite heavy rain on Friday 28 February last month, public servants, the outgoing Minister James Marape and newly appointed Minister Nick Kuman dedicated themselves for the handover takeover of the Minister for Education. This simply showed the passion that these people had for education in Papua New Guinea. Staff from the Department of Education, divisional heads and the media witnessed the handover takeover program staged at the PNG EI Hall in Port Moresby last month. Mr. Nick Kuman says he is honoured and thankful to the O'Neill-Dion government for the appointment as the Minister for Education. Dr. Michael Tapo, Secretary for Education, warmly welcomed the Minister into the ministry and thanked former Minister for the work that he has done during his time.
Ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, Minister James Marape, our Minister for Finance and outgoing Minister for Education, our Minister, Nick Kuman, who is both of them are up here. Welcome to the Ministry of Education, which is comprised of Teaching Service Commission, Department of Education, and Office of Library and Archives, and all our people out there in the school system, and our board members, National Education board members, some of whom are here. We welcome you two to this handover takeover ceremony. We are very glad that today, though it's raining, I think it's a blessing in terms that both of you are here. You have made it possible to be able to be with us. And we are very privileged that this is happening when education is on the roll. We are experiencing a lot of changes taking place in the education system, and the handover takeover and the ceremony is taking place is a milestone in which Minister James Marape, you going for your time being with us, and Minister Nick Kuman, you're joining us at a time when government has challenged the education system to make change, and this change has begun and will continue to be able to go to where as far as we can go under your leadership, Minister Kuman.
Leadership is the activity of influencing people to cooperate towards some goal which they come to find desirable. The former Minister for Education, James Marape, thanked the Department of Education for doing a great job while he was the Minister and believes that the same support will be given to the new Minister. With leaving his 10 years as Education Minister behind, James Marape thanked the current Minister, Nick Kuman, for coming on board.
Thank you, Brother Nick, for coming on time. I would have collapsed if I continued to hold two ministries. And I really appreciate the fact that he's come on board. And thank you, Dr. Kenagan, for accompanying me on this important occasion. Chairman of the Teacher Service Commission, Mr. Sori, and your staff, I acknowledge you and your support. You've rendered expressly your continuous passion for helping and supporting the cause and plight of our teachers across this country. Those of us at Field of House, we are office and we manage the desk work, but the actual front runners are our teachers out there in the field. And thank you, Mr. Sori and your team at Teaching Service Commission for always having the ears and the heart to our teachers who for now and for forever, and as far as we exist as a nation, the teachers must be our number one client as we serve them in this department, both in the Department of Education and Teacher Service Commission. So thank you, Mr. Sori, and I thank you for the support, advice, and partnership we've had in my tenure as Education Minister. Also,
the newly elected minister has a passion for education in Papua New Guinea. He says he will support the work of the former minister that he has left behind and is honoured and thankful to the O'Neill-Dion government for the appointment to join the Education Ministry. Welcome back. We now take a look at the important role that the National School Census plays in the delivery of education in the country. Dr. Tapo discusses some of the core functions that the National School Census plays in ensuring effective delivery of education and for the country to be best informed of its position in reaching the goals of universal basic education. Every country needs basic information about its residents for purposes of planning, development and improvement of the residents' quality of life. Good planning is based on reliable, up-to-date, accurate and detailed information on the state of the society in the country. This information makes it possible to plan better services, improve the quality of life and solve existing problems. The school census of the education sector falls squarely into this proposition, where schools in PNG participating in census every year contributes to proper planning, development and improvement in citizens' quality of life. The National Department of Education values concrete data for purposes of planning, implementation, monitoring, reporting and evaluation purposes. As such, school census is very central to the delivery of education to the rest of PNG.
Well, census is so important to Papua New Guinea as a country, to the economic sector, to the education sector, to anyone trying to use the population growth, the issues to do with social factors that affect our country, the issues have to do with health indicators. And for us in education, census is so important for us to be able to make sure how many children are going to school and are remaining in school until they complete their education. So for us in Papua New Guinea, census is carried 2 times a year. We try to make sure and update how many children are going to school, how many schools do exist in Papua New Guinea, where they are located in Papua New Guinea, how many teachers are actually going to the schools, particularly in the remote areas. We want to know. So the census comes in with the school code, where they are located in Papua New Guinea, the names of the schools, the number of teachers that are there, the number of children that are there. It helps us to be able to be on par in terms of reporting on the students going to school. It gives information like the school age, like the 5-year, the 6-year, the 7-year, the 9-year going to school. They call it net enrollment. 6 years, people at the right age going to school. And there are children that when you start, say, prep, maybe 9 years or 10 years, but still they need to go to school because of where they are. So the census gives us that kind of information. So we call it net enrollment and gross enrollment. So over time, we can let the rest of the world know the indicators in terms of school enrollment in Papua New Guinea, at net enrollment at the right age of going to school, or those that go to school at a later stage given the context of where they are. And so that's where census becomes very important. The number of teachers gives us, in order to be able to see how many teachers are in schools and how many more are needed. So the issue on supply and demand of teachers is very important. And that's where census play a big role in the education system in terms of those, but also in terms of economics. How much money do we want in order to be able to do it? Also, it involves the salary of teachers, how many teachers are being paid on the payroll. So that's where census is very important too, in terms of making sure that the teacher numbers and the kind of salaries needed for the teachers that are giving it to the government to be able to have the budget for payments of teacher salary. The leave phase is very important. So you can see when we talk census, we talk about from people going to school and staying in school during the complete access to education. It concerns to quality education. You know, what kind of school education we must deliver, and therefore the number of teachers, the number of schools. It links to the curriculum.
School census, according to Dr. Tapo, serves a number of purposes and is linked to the education system. And to anyone trying to use the population growth for planning, the census equally serves these different purposes. Dr. Tapo describes the census as a way of accessing retention and quality education, the number of teachers in schools, and is also linked to the curriculum.
What kind of curriculum resources need to provide and the quantity. So again, it involves money. And then in terms of the government institution fee free, trying to make sure that the children receive quality education, and therefore what kind of level of money is needed. So we need to know exactly the student population number across Papua New Guinea, and on that basis money may be involved in government. So that's why census is very pertinent to running an education system. And for us in Papua New Guinea, we are making sure everything possible to make sure that we get a very hard hard data that is hard enough for us to be able to know is the number of children that going to school at the right age, or all the children at the right number, for us to be able to make sure that budget represents what they are, and make sure that we can report on the people going to school. And another important thing is to do with the issue on girl boy going to school. A lot of countries measure our indicators by how many girls going to school. And for us in Papua New Guinea, the issue on gender is a real issue. So we want to know how many girls are going to school and are staying in school and completing school education. Up until now, it's been an issue, but the future with census, we're now going to make sure that if someone says how many girls are accessing school education, and we can report, and what is the age group like, we can also report on that. And so as the boys, we need to know how many boys are going to school, so we can also report on how many boys are staying in school too, going to school and remaining in school. So that is where census is very important to judge our indicators, not only in Papua New Guinea, not only to do with money, but also with the rest of the world. We can comparatively say in Papua New Guinea, in terms of universal mandate, we are actually able to show course on where we are in terms of our population and those accessing school, both girls and boys going to school. And in terms of cost-wise, our government and the rest of the world will say how many people are accessing universal basic education.
A notable feedback from census is that it allows authorities and other concerned parties to track and know if the gender divide is changing within the education sector of PNG, that is, the girl and boy child ratio. Dr. Tapo acknowledges that with school census, his department can confidently report on how many boys and girls are in school. These reports on gross enrollment in schools are not only good for our domestic records, but also paint our good image on the international scene in terms of equitable access to basic education. And with all the positive results that are anticipated out of school census, the Secretary for Education highlights that his department, together with his provincial colleagues, values the significant role that the school census has in education. Dr. Tapo also urged the principals and the provincial education advisors to value census because of its intrinsic value to planning and funding in the country. And this is what he has to say.
I would like now to state to all schools, principals and board of management, board of governors, and national institutions where we have the governing councils, please principals and please provincial education advisors, please take note that school census is very important for the planning in this country, for funding in this country, also to do with making sure you get enough teachers, making sure you get enough curriculum resources, to look at the forms and fill in the details in the form and submit those forms. The census forms are now for 2014 are now just being sent out. I'm now asking everyone to make sure that it is mandatory. It is mandatory because only then can we know how to have a unit cost on providing education. So it now means make sure you put the right information on the number of the teachers you have, make sure you have the right number of children you have, make sure you record the number of teachers' houses, the classrooms that you have must be factored into the form that you have. Make sure the school accounts information is correct. Make sure the people who sign the school the accounts are there. Make sure the bank details are correct. So all those things are asked through the census form. So I'm now encouraging everyone. If you do it right, then the delivery of resources, the delivery of government services will be timely because you have provided the right information. Up until as I speak, we are now in 2014. only 8,419 schools have got the money because those details have come from the census forms. And all the other schools that have not got their money is the very basic reason you have not provided the information. So I'm asking the public, and I'm asking the school principals, I'm asking the board members to play a very significant role, to do your best to make sure that schools provide the right information so that these census forms reach Waigani, so that we can only then make decisions on money coming to you on timely basis. Curriculum resources are given to you given the right numbers of students and teachers, and they reach your location. And teachers do also know where you are, so that teachers can also be sent to the locations where there are no teachers. So that's why census is so important.
Given the value of census in improving the delivery of education in PNG, it is vitally important for schools and authorities responsible to ensure that this vital tool for planning, implementation, reporting and evaluation continues to take center stage in the education system. Census is vital because it serves as the channel for information flow between those that are at the helm of the education organizational structure and those at the front line delivering education in various parts of the country. You're with Skul Bilong You. We now take a look at three key divisions of the National Department of Education, what roles they play and the delivery of quality education to the rest of the country and the challenges they face in making sure that they effectively carry out their core responsibilities.
The Curriculum Assessment Division is no ordinary division, but the engine room of the National Department of Education. This is because the division has an enormous responsibility of developing quality curriculum that is taught in all levels of education, spanning from elementary to grade 12. Of its many responsibilities, the Curriculum and Assessment Division has the following core responsibilities: of doing item writings, preparing examinations for grade 8s, grade 10s, and grade 12s, administer certificates to be endorsed by the Secretary for Education, and procure and distribute all of the curriculum materials to schools throughout the country. According to the Acting First Assistant Secretary for Curriculum and Education Division, Mr. Mordecai Baine, this division needs to improve on staff capacity to better deliver on those core areas of responsibilities.
This division is the engine room of the Department of Education because this division core responsibility is to develop curriculum to be taught in all levels of schools from elementary to grade 12. We've also do assessments, we do item writings, we prepare examinations for grade 8, grade 10 and grade 12. And also we administer the certification to be endorsed by the Secretary for Education. We also procure and distribute all of the curriculum materials to be taught in all our schools in the general education levels. And because of that, it is important that the staff that help run the division should be the ones that should have proper training in order for them to be able to carry out the core functions of the division.
The Curriculum and Assessment Division also houses three core projects, which includes the EQI TV project funded by JICA, the REPNG funded by the World Bank, and the new Secretariat for the Abolishment of OBE and the introduction of standard or blended education. Under the REPNG project, The division is working towards the improvement of the level of English syllabus, which is believed to have dropped over the years, resulting in the poor level of education. The project will be implemented at the elementary school level to see competency in reading. In terms of EQITV project, there have been positive indications of the results of schools having access to the EQITV program, compared to schools that are yet to see the implementation of the project at their schools. And under the Secretariat for the Abolishment of OBE and the introduction of standard or blended education, the Department of Education, through the division, is keen on working with the outside experts to develop the curriculum for science and mathematics in the preparations for the exit of OBE and the transition to standard education.
In the division, we also have 3 projects that we house. EQTV, funded by JICA. We also have Read PNG, funded by the World Bank. And we now have a new secretariat per the direction from the government to abolish outcome-based education and introduce the new standard-based curriculum. And so that secretariat is housed in our division. Currently, the project Read PNG plus the officers of the curriculum have developed the English syllabus to be taught at elementary, because many parents throughout the country think that our standard of education in our country has dropped because of the vernacular use in our schools. And so the English syllabus have been developed, and it is going through the process for evaluation to begin to be taught in 2015. The Read PNG project is a project that mainly doing assessment on the elementary levels to see their competency in reading. And so that is an important project that the World Bank has funded, and so that is now also is one of our major tasks in our division. We have EQTV that is funded by JICA. That is an important project that is housed at CDAD, and that project has brought some good results. The comparative that have been made in selective schools throughout the country has indicated that those schools that have gone into broadcasting through MTV, the grade 8 results have been better than those schools in our countries that have not got EQTV programs that are telecast through our television network. And so it is bringing some results. Currently the government is government has a decision has been made that the outcome-based education is to be phased out, and the standard-based or blended curriculum. And so we are now in discussion. The task force is being established, and discussions are underway. And last week and this week, the Japanese JICA has brought in some experts in science and maths to help us, give us some of the possibilities in which we can engage in helping to develop the standard-based or the blended curriculum for our country. And so the department is very keen through the division, and we are excited about the possibilities. And we have been also directed by the minister.
The Curriculum and Assessment Division is indeed an engine room for the education in the country. And now, with the exit strategy from OBE, Mr. Baine noted that the challenge is building the division's human resource capacity to effectively implement education reforms and strategic deadlines. In terms of advice to teachers, this is what Mr. Baine had to say.
to teachers out there, we would like them to continue. The difficulty that the government has recognized is in the elementary and the primary levels. And so we like to encourage them to keep on working with what they have, and then we will be going out to help them involve teacher training programs and other stakeholders to come in and help us for them to appreciate and take on board the new standard-based curriculum. But for the secondary levels, their teachers can continue to teach because the strength is there in the secondary level of the current curriculum.
In the teacher learning wing of the Education Department, there are 3 divisions that come directly under it. There are the Teachers Learning Division, the General Education Services Division, and the National Capital District Education Services. According to Mr. Walipi Wingi, the Acting First Assistant Secretary for Teaching and Learning Branch of the National Department of Education, all 3 divisions play an important role.
The 3 divisions are important in their own functions and the roles they play. For Teacher Education Division, it is one of the key divisions in the department. After the Curriculum Development Division has produced the curriculum for the schools, it's the Teacher Education Division that takes it on board through preparation of teachers in the teachers' colleges and the implementation through the in-service training and other trainings that go on. So in terms of Teacher Education Division, the teachers' colleges are now moving into a 3-year training program from the 2 years training program as directed by the government. And a new college that has come on board is Simbu Teachers College, taking us up to 11 colleges now. The Balob Teachers College, there's Dowley Teachers College in Southern Islands. Balob is in Morobe. Dowley Teachers College in Southern Highlands. Used to be, now it's Ella Province. And then there's Enga Teachers College in Enga, Gowlim Teachers College and Caballero Teachers Colleges in East New Britain, Mendang Teachers College in Mendang, PNGI, that's formerly the Port Moresby Service College, now it's called Papua New Guinea Education Institute in the National Capital District. Sacred Heart Teachers College, that's at Bomana in Anthony. Simbu Teachers College, that's the latest inclusion in Simbu Province, and the Nazarene, the Melanesian Nazarene Teachers College in the new Chihuahua Province. With the General Education Services Division, they are responsible for the FOD. Used to be the College of Distance Education, now it's called the Flexible, Open and Distance Education. And the national high schools in the country, the 6 national high schools. Those 6 national high schools, the government's direction and the intention now is that they go into schools of excellence. So the department and the ministry is working towards improving those institutions to be the schools of excellence. The National Education, National Capital District Education Services is responsible for schools in the National Capital District. And as we know, the schools and the Port Moresby City is actually Papua New Guinea within Port Moresby. More than 800 plus cultures and languages are all represented here. So schools here must actually be the role models for schools that are in the province. That includes the teaching and learning that goes on, the conduct of teachers, the principals, the standard officers, all must set the standard where it is replicated throughout the country.
Thank you for staying with us. In this segment, we will meet the agency heads from the Department of Education. Please stay with us to see how these leaders contribute for schools, teachers and students around the country.
Libraries in the new millennium are the leaders in knowledge management. Libraries are very important in all schools. Mr. Jacob Hevelawa, Director General of the Office of Library and Archives, speaks on the importance of library.
The National Library Service is responsible for advising on library issues, and they are also responsible to give advice to schools on setup of school libraries, and of course the other area is the Public Library Service. All right, in our briefing to the Minister, insofar as library matters are concerned, we had emphasized and we have informed through the debriefing that we are looking at, or we are going to be embarking on a new concept, which is called the e-library. Schools may have already had contacts with the National Library Service through the School Library Services Division or branch within the National Library, and they have been accessing school library books through the Kina for Kina subsidy arrangement that we have existed, which was in operation for the last few years. That is, when a school gives 2,000 kina for library books, the office through the National Library Service puts another 2,000 kina on top, and we supply 4,000 kina worth of books to schools. And we had introduced a concept of establishing library in every schools starting in 2011. That's when we had a project which we embarked on, which was funded, and we had purchased library books that we have already supplied over almost 1 million kina worth of books to over 300 schools in nearly all the provinces in Papua New Guinea. Okay, that is through the school library project arrangement. Okay, we are now taking another first step further, that I would like to inform all schools that we are trialing a e-library concept, which will start this year.
This year, the Office of Library and Archives is trialing an e-library concept in the East Sepik province. All schools around the country are encouraged to have libraries. For assistance, please contact the Office of Library and Archives and your school can be assisted. Libraries are viewed as an important component of education. Without library, no meaningful education efforts can be carried out. Another agency attached to the Education Ministry is the Teachers Services Commission. The function of the Commission within the Ministry is to provide a critical oversight of all matters relating to terms and conditions of service and welfare of the members of the teaching service. The Chairman, Boran Soe, explains more.
Teaching Service Commission is an authority established under the Teaching Service Act, and it operates as an entity within the Ministry of Education. So in the Ministry of Education there are three domains, each operate under their own act: the Department of Education, Teaching Service Commission, and the Office of Library and Archives. The function of the Commission within the Ministry is basically to provide a critical oversight of all matters relating to the terms and conditions of service and welfare of the members of the teaching service. It is important within the Ministry of Education because under Section 9, the functions of the Commission, the Teaching Service Commission is empowered under that section to act for and on behalf of the state as an employer of teachers, and it determines, Teaching Service Commission determines through negotiations with the Papua New Guinea Teachers Association, agreed and set salaries and conditions for teachers. Not only that, it also approves the position of schools and it deals with the disciplinary matters of teachers. Teachers, and for that matter, other stakeholders have the right to express their views. What are being expressed over the media are perceptions. Perceptions are basically what one, as an individual or collectively as a group, expresses what they think. And basically what appears in the media was like that, or is perceptions, it's purely perceptions. In terms of salaries and allowances of teachers, in the last negotiation that was agreed and passed and implemented to come 1st January 2014, teachers get a good pay rise. Basically to say other public servants received 7.5% pay rise, whereas teachers received 10% because of the recognition of the amount of work that teachers do during official hours and also after office. The message that I really want to leave with teachers is that I encourage all teachers to resume duties. As of today, I have reported 11,000 teachers will be put off payroll simply because on record they have not resumed duties, teaching duties. If these 11,000 teachers out there in the country and listening to my, encouraging you to resume in order to avoid when auto suspension comes and you are put off payroll.
Thanks for your company and welcome back to the show. This month paved way for new areas in EquiTV and e-learning. A recent presentation of television sets and DVDs to schools in the Central Province was conducted to boost the EquiTV program, which is a co-initiative of the Department of Education and the Japanese International Cooperation Agency. Speaking at this presentation ceremony was the outgoing education advisor for Central Province, Mr. Titus Hatagen, and JICA's EquiTV program head, Mr. Chiko Yamaoka.
In the recent presentation of television kits and DVDs to the head teachers of the Central Province as part of the EquiTV program, a co-initiative between the Department of Education and JICA PNG, the outgoing advisor for the education of Central Province, Mr. Titus Hatagen, highlighted that EquiTV was the way forward for PNG. To assert the importance of EquiTV to education in PNG, Mr. Titus Hatagen and Mr. Chiko Yamaoka of JICA respectively proudly announced Gaire Primary School in Central Province to be the perfect epitome of that success story. According to Mr. Hatagen, EquiTV program is delivering lessons such as personal development, mathematics and science broadcasted through MTV for the teachers and students. The delivery of these lessons is received by students from different schools that can access EquiTV telecast at one time, enabling coherence and uniformity in learning. The speakers, in acknowledging the crucial role of EquiTV in bridging the gap in quality learning, pointed out that education being not only the biggest sector, but with the demand for the service reaching out to the remote communities, the need for innovation in delivery of education was essential. EquiTV was an ICT innovation that was already bridging the gap in the delivery of uniformed classroom learning to schools that are already privileged to access EquiTV.
Central Province, we have decided to adopt innovations that has been trialed by the Department of Education. As I said earlier on, thank you JICA for the EquiTV program. They have personal development, mathematics and science, which are being broadcasted on MTV. Now you will note that not all provinces, not all schools have access to the TV signal. So we have decided that we will pay the screens, the DVD players, and we try to go in partnership now. The head teachers, you and your school board, pay for the generator, the regulator, and I'm advised that CDAD, media unit, will supply the DVDs. Otherwise, they are available at about 1,200 per set. And it's very interesting. Gaire has come up, Gaire Primary School has come up after last year and have actually announced that EquiTV contributed to the improvement of the academic standard at Gaire. So I'm challenging you people over here.
The head teachers of schools in Central Province had every reason to celebrate not only the presentation of the television sets and DVDs, but also by the fact that they were the leading model province of the delivery of EQI TV program. According to JICA's representative, Mr. Yoshikazu Taniguchi, Central Province is a success story in successfully embracing EQI TV and should also be a good model for other provinces. The story of education in Central Province has been of decline over the years, but this is no longer the case. Since the Division of Education in the province decided to tap into the innovative learning initiated by JICA and the Department of Education through EQI TV.
We are quite happy to see today's event because this is the first time for us to see the commitment of the provincial government. So thank you very much for your commitment, central government, central and provincial government. And, from now, we can say to other provinces, please look at central province. They are the role models. They are doing quite well. So please do the same thing. So we are very excited and very happy to see your commitment. Yeah, again, thank you very much.
The outgoing advisor for education, Mr. Hatagen, also pointed that there were challenges surrounding the delivery of EQI TV. And with the emphasis on innovative learning facilitated by ICT as in EQI TV, he reminded the head of teachers that EQI TV should not take over the normal teaching system, that should complement it.
And may I remind teachers that when you take on board EquiTV, it should not take over your normal teaching in class, no. But it should complement. It doesn't mean that you put the TV on and you run away outside, no. You have to be there because there are steps that will be demonstrated in the TV, which you will have to also simplify to the students in there.
The success story of EQI TV program in Central Province is indeed the result of the determination of the Education Division of the province. Regardless of not many schools having the access to equipment that would enable EQI TV learning, the Education Division is ambitious in utilizing ICT partnership with the provincial government. And this partnership is already bearing fruits in further enhancing the implementation of EQI TV program. In the area of ICT, the responsibility is now on planners and implementers to explore what ICT holds for effective delivery of basic services. Like education, which remains to be a challenge, delivering them, constrained by the remoteness of most communities, the innovative undertaking through EQI TV is already bridging the gap where the delivery of quality learning seems to fall short.
Welcome back to School Bilong You. Now, for the events and announcements relating to this month of March, Secretary Dr. Tapo is on hand to deliver this important information for all teachers, parents and the public. Stay tuned as he also relays a special message to students throughout Papua New Guinea.
Term 1 of this academic year 2014 has started off with the Department of Education attending to various issues for education throughout the country. As for this last month of March, Dr. Tapo highlights the continuation of keeping the standards high and maintaining quality of teaching.
Important. First of all, let me speak about standards, or what you call regulatory requirements. Standards can come in many forms, but one is the regulatory requirements, and that is, let me say, a teacher has to be trained, qualified teacher, to be registered, and they must teach in school. And so all schools in Papua New Guinea, in order to enroll our children in elementary all the way to grade 12, even going to technical and vocational institution, going to Ford, going to teachers college, all the people who play the role of teachers must be qualified. And I'm asking that any education institutions must have a qualified, registered teacher to teach. And I hear, up until now, that some schools are not employing the teachers that are not registered, are not qualified. And that is regulatory requirement. It is by law. So I know the Chairman TSC will come and stress it, but I want to remind people that no school should not employ teachers that are not registered and are not qualified. And teachers must teach in the 4 terms in a year. So it is important. The number of meetings the school boards must be 4 times a year. That is important. Teacher appointments. All teachers must be appointed by the Provincial Education Board, or in the case of school, provincial schools, and national institutions by the National Education Board. That is mandatory. That is law. And so people must get appointed by those authorities before they can teach. So those are some examples. There must be examination. Those are standards. So I'm just rehearsing what is important in there. And then lastly, some of the things that have been happening lately, we've rolled out the tuition fee free. It's a government policy priority area. And then government is giving the money. We are about to now send some more money. We've sent 79% to 8,419 schools. In the next week, we will give them another 21%. That will make it 50% of the 300 million we're going to give to schools who have done right, who have done by completing the school census form. And hopefully those schools will get all the money in the next 2 weeks, some 21%. We've now got the money, another 100 million, and we're now going to give it to the schools that have done well. And the rest, hopefully thereafter, we will pay the rest of the schools in the country. The rest of the money when the government release our money to us to give it to the schools. So in that, I just want to let everybody know around the country, and I like to repeat to all schools out there and to the boards, school boards, please, whether you are an agency school or whether you're either government or mission, you cannot charge fees. Now I want to say, you cannot charge fees beyond 200 kina. And if you are charging beyond 200 kina, it is already government policy, and it is already government practice, and it is through the department. I'm asking provincial education authorities, you must have a provincial education board decision to charge beyond 200 kina.
He also expands on what is expected in the coming weeks, emphasizing the quitting of all funds used throughout the schools and the release of the commodity component to all students.
In the next 3 months, I'm going to request the schools that all monies that is being spent by you as part of the tuition be free. Not every schools have reported to date. Some schools we've sent people to go and find out what they're doing with the money. But indications up to date is that schools are not spending the money on teaching and learning areas. They're using it for other purposes. Now please read the Secretary Circular. Please read the ministerial policy statement that is almost going to be mirrored in the same as in 2014, that we are about to send a new lot going up. But the issues are that you read the Secretary Circular and read the ministerial policy statement that were in practice in 2013 and 2014. You are now about to get the new ones coming to you to make sure that you use the money according to the purpose for why you have to use the money. So I want to emphasize that the ministerial policy statement and the Secretary Circular, and now we have a minister now who will read the MPS, the ministerial policy statement, and then once he has agreed to it and approved by cabinet, we will send it to you to make sure that you stay on par to make sure those guidelines or standards are followed in the use of money. So please acquit all the money in 2013, and if you have not done for 2012, do that for 2012 and 2013 and forward it to the Department of Education through your provincial authorities. If you're having difficulty, send it directly to us, to Waigani, so that we know that you have done well by acquitting the government money for teaching and learning that is sent to you. While on that, I would like to speak about the commodity trial component. In the next 2 to 3 weeks, awareness is being carried out by the company, the Trade Pacific. I think they are rolling out the commodity component, and they are now, the school inspectors and provincial authorities are now going to the schools to carry out awareness, and then materials will be arriving. These are pencil, rollers that are coming to you, exercise books that are coming to you to your school as part of the commodity component. We are trying this system. It may not be the best of everything, but we're using one company. Hopefully your feedback is very important. I'm requesting everyone to provide a feedback.
Students around the country are, at current, past halfway point of Term 1, as the Secretary of Education, Dr. Tapo, has this encouraging message for all students around the country.
My encouragement to all students of various age, from elementary all the way to secondary education, Education Department, Education Ministry, our teachers, our provinces are a second parent to you. We are your next guardian, your parent and your guardian. And I know there are a lot of difficulties that you may have faced through home environment or through your parents, through your guardians, through your homes. But I would like to encourage you as a Secretary for Education to get education, value education, and to remain in school. To respect the teachers, to respect the Board of Management, to respect your parents, your guardians, and to go to school, to be satisfied with going to school and to stay in school and stay in school until you complete your education. To not give up. I would like to request you to not give up, because education is your future.
This is an update message for all schools in the department's EquiTV project. Further to the announcement made last month, 200 new decoders applied free of charge to the Department of Education were marked to be delivered on the 31st of January. However, this delivery throughout the schools in PNG has been delayed by distribution funding allocation within the department. Recently, while the decoders were still in the national capital, MTV took the opportunity to upgrade the software on all the new decoders in a day's work. We can now announce the decoders have been released to schools by the Department of Education. All schools receiving a decoder will be required to register the decoder serial numbers and name of school. This will help the Department of Education and MTV in the distribution and maintenance. The remaining 200 decoders gifted to the Department of Education by MTV will be released to additional schools in due course, by approval of the Secretary, Dr. Tapo. Television communication is an important tool for education, and Dr. Tapo is on the forefront of delivering information direct to schools. For more information on the delivery of your decoder, please contact the Media Centre on 301-3410. Alternatively, email schoolbelongyou@mtv.com.pg and we will assist. Skul Bilong would also like to remind all schools, teachers, students, parents and guardians to share your issues, your stories and your voice of education. You can send your letters, videos, pictures and school announcements to email schoolbelongyou@mtv.com.pg or Skul Bilong, MTV, PO Box 443, Boroko, NCD. You can also call us on 325-7322. Like our Facebook page where we bring you the latest announcements from the Department of Education.
And that concludes this edition of Skul Bilong You. If your friends or family have missed this episode, you can view it online at these web links. Your next edition of Skul Bilong You is on Saturday, the 19th of April. Thank you for watching, take care, and see you next time.